Hey everybody, Zaya from 48 Detailing, doing something a little bit different for today's video and podcast. I'm working on a slideshow for Pebble Creek Car Club. I'm doing a presentation for them. I've done this a few times for some other car clubs in the area and going over who we are, what we do, and jumping into the details of paint protection film, ceramic window tints, ceramic coatings, and what you need to know as a consumer, as a DIYer, and as an enthusiast. All right. So just a little bit about me, guys. If you don't know already, I want to, tell the group, the car club, a little bit about me so they know kind of who I am as an authority when it comes to industry and what we do. So let's go ahead and start the presentation, jump straight into it. This is going to be a great video for people that are looking to get these types of services, know a little bit more about the technology and how they work and what they do, the pros and cons. We're going to jump straight into that, okay? So, again, my name is Zaya. I'm the owner and founder of 48 Detailing. There is me right there, about 25, 30 pounds lighter than where I'm at right now. And, let's hope I get down to that weight once again in the near future. But that's what business and starting a family does to you, I guess, but no excuses, right? Again, I'm the founder and owner of 48 Detailing. I've been operating for a little bit over 4 years now, getting into 5 years. Originally, I started mobile detailing as Carnuba Detailing. Did that for about a year before I got my first shop location and rebranded into 48 Detailing. That's my 2006 Chevy HHR. I picked that up for about $2,500, had 160,000 miles on it, and that is what I detailed out of. So all you guys out there thinking that you need this and that, a Ford F-150 and a $50,000 trailer and a huge setup, well, you don't need it, all right? You really, really don't need it. Moving on from there, we are a team of 10 strong now, starting from just me solo in the beginning, thinking, how the hell am I going to fill up this 2,500 square foot shop? Well, we got 10 team members now, and we're up to a little over 5,000 square feet worth of space that we fill up throughout the year of cars that we work on for multiple types of services. So super thankful about that. And then, of course, our most important part, our customers and our community. It's been an amazing journey, a lot of ups and downs, but these people that you see here are just a few of tens of thousands of people that we worked with over the past few years on protecting their investments and putting smiles on people's faces with the services that we're able to offer. So we would be nothing without them. Love doing a lot of community events, car shows, car meets, cars and coffees, charity events. Big part about what we do. So on top of that, I do also train. Certified trainer for Dr. Beasley's back in the day. I've trained over 50 businesses on how to run a business properly, how to grow your business, and also the skills of PPF ceramic coatings as well. So if you had any questions about that, maybe it's something you want to look into, make sure to reach out, okay? And our mission statement, providing peace of mind with simple value-oriented services developed from the ground up to protect your vehicle from the harsh Arizona environment, backed by the highest-rated team of passionate industry experts in the Valley. So we are top 5 highest-rated automotive shops in the state of Arizona when it comes to detailing, PPF, and window tint. On the west side of the Phoenix Valley, we are the highest-rated, period, and we're continuing to strengthen that reputation year after year. So what do we do and how can we help you? All right. There's 3 main categories that we focus on here at 48 Detailing. We have a lot of customers asking us for a lot of things. Do you do PDR? Do you do curb rash repair? You should do vinyl wraps. You should do this and that. The way I operate business is we do what we know we do better than everyone else, and that is it. If there is a time that I can expand the company from here with other services and we can do it properly and efficiently, we'll get to that point. But right now we focus on what I like to call the Holy Trinity, the top 3, which is paint protection film, otherwise known as PPF and clear bra, ceramic window tinting, ceramic coatings, and of course your general automotive detailing. I would consider that in the ceramic coating category, all right? So with that in mind, we'll jump into the first one, which is paint protection film. What is it? How does it work, right? We hear these terms. We might see it on cars, but what is the technology behind it? I'm going to try to do it in a very simplistic format so you can understand if you have really no background in this. But if you want a deeper dive in paint protection film, window tint, and ceramic coatings, I will leave links in the description below. I have done long explanation videos on the technology, the material, all that good stuff. So if you want the nitty-gritty details on what PPF is, what window tint is, make sure to check out links in the description below. 20-30 minute full-length videos in detail on what they are, what they do, and how all this technology affects you as a consumer or somebody who's trying to install it as well. Maybe you're trying to do DIY or running your own business, right? So, paint protection film, what is it? Well, it starts with the first layer, an adhesive layer. PPF has a specially engineered heat-sensitive polymer adhesive designed to resist yellowing and bond to paint while still being able to be removable without damaging the vehicle in the future. PPF is meant to be applied, and then it's meant to be removed, okay? It's not supposed to stay on your car for absolutely ever. Now, most PPFs come with a 10-year warranty. We'll get into that in a second, but it's meant to be put on and meant to be removed. It's meant to take on damage, and then you remove it. You have fresh paint underneath. You could reapply it from there or just leave it be. It is a sacrificial layer for your vehicle, all right? Layer 2 is the TPU core. Now, TPU stands for thermoplastic polyurethane. This is the main body of the film that the adhesive layer bonds to at the bottom, and then the next third layer bonds to onto the top. It is extremely elastic, resistant to impacts, abrasion, and also chemicals. Now, thermoplastic polyurethane, there is a lot of different types on the market for different purposes and different uses. Again, if you want a deeper dive in this actual technology and this actual material, make sure to check out our deep dive video on paint protection film, all right? Moving on to layer 3. Now, on top of that TPU, you have your third layer, which is your ceramic top coat. It is a clear SiO2 and polymer layer providing gloss, ease of cleaning, and self-cleaning abilities, okay? So this is the layer that goes on top that provides that hot marketing term of self-healing abilities, all right? Now, all these layers of film differ from manufacturer to manufacturer, but at the end of the day, they're all very similar as well. The adhesive layer is pretty much trying to do the same thing. The TPU is also trying to do the same thing, and the ceramic top coat is going to vary just slightly based off of the amount of shine it provides and also self-healing abilities that it provides. Now, with that in mind and the different formulations from manufacturers, each film is going to be slightly different, even though they're pretty much all the same. And that's typically what I tell a lot of consumers trying to find these types of services. You don't want to focus on the film manufacturer necessarily. As long as it's a quality manufacturer that has proper ethics and are doing things correctly, trying to benefit their end consumer, which is us as an installer, and also you as a person receiving the installation. And what's more important is the installer that you're working with. I don't care if you have the best material in the world. If you're not installing it properly, it's not going to last. And if your installer and the company that you're working with is not willing to back the own material that they're using, don't expect your 10-year warranty experience to be any good, all right? Because at the end of the day, film manufacturers are there to do one thing, and sell film, all right? They are not there to warranty it, even though that they provide a warranty. Depends on the manufacturer. We've had some nightmare experiences with a few that are on the market. I don't like mentioning any names, but we're talking about big companies with big budgets for marketing and big quote-unquote quality quote-unquote name brands, right? Well, when push comes to shove and something's actually wrong with that film and our customers were calling that manufacturer is not willing to do anything for the customer. They would either blame it on the customer's maintenance. They would blame it on us as installers, even though we didn't do anything wrong. All right? You can run into that issue. That is why it is super important to make sure that you are installing your trust in the person that you're face-to-face with, meaning the company that's installing your film. For example, us, 48 Detailing. All right? And you also need to verify and make sure, hey, how much experience does this shop have? Because I'll tell you guys, I've used almost every single film on the market. When I say that, I mean like the main line, main brand stuff. all right? The stuff that's supposed to be good quality. A lot of it has been good. A lot of it hasn't been bad. But again, you have to take from the good and see how's the experience with the manufacturer of that film as well. We ran into a case in a scenario where we had a really, really nice film, great, pretty decent to install, but it looked beautiful, performed great, right? But the customer service experience when we ran into an issue or the customer ran into an issue was freaking miserable. Walls were put up every single time you called them because they're willing to sell you the film and they're willing to tag your photos of all these cool cars that you're doing and the quality results that you're pushing out. But when one small thing happens or you run into a defect in the film that's from the manufacturer and the consumer wants to get that addressed, the manufacturer didn't do anything. Their warranty wasn't valid all of a sudden, even though the customer did nothing wrong and we did nothing wrong as well. So companies like myself and consumers like you can run into that issue as well, and that's what I want you guys to avoid. So I wouldn't necessarily bet all your money on a name brand, like a specific name brand. Don't go like cheap Chinese film that you have no idea what's going on, right? Okay? You want something with some reputation, right? But put most of your money in the company that you're directly working with. Because if you have a company with great ratings, great testimonials, that's been around for a while, and most importantly, is transparent and honest with you as a consumer, you're in better hands there, okay? Trust me, your experience is going to be great. If you have a company that's willing to bring you in the back of the shop, show you the material they're using, show you an example of an installation, show you final results, and talk to you both about the good, meaning the pros of an installation, and the cons, that is the money right there. That is a home run for you as a consumer, okay? Because here at 48 Detailing, I don't just make paint protection film, coatings, window tints sound like it's some magical thing that can do absolutely everything for you and solve your divorce and help you with your relationship with your child. No, okay? There's a reality to these types of services and products, and we want to make sure you know the good and the bad so you can make an educated decision on what you want to do. Because it does not benefit me, okay, and my company to push something to you that you don't need, because that's wasted time and effort on my part, because you're not going to be happy with it at the end of the day. That's a key takeaway I want you guys to understand when it comes to looking out for these types of services. All right? So as a little bit of a tangent, let's jump straight back into this. So you have layer 1, 2, and 3. Let's start with the adhesive layer, okay? So differences between films, whether you're looking at Expel, SunTech, GeoShield, S-Tech, Lumar, whatever it may be, the adhesive is going to differ little by little based off the preference of the manufacturer. Now, when we were looking at adhesive, we wanted a real, you'll notice I look for a really great balance with everything because there are pros and cons when it comes to each one of these layers depending on their how they're manufactured from the manufacturer. So for example, you have Expel, who has a really, really strong grabby adhesive, which is great if you're trying to blitz through installations. But the problem is with a thick and strong layer of adhesive, you have more texture to the film, more orange peel, all right? That's one thing. It's more prone to also yellowing as well, and more prone to leaving adhesive stretch, silvering, meaning the film grabs prematurely while you're trying to move it, grabs and it's pulled and deformed on the film, the TPU layer, right? So when you reapply it, it leaves a mark, what we like to call an adhesive mark behind. And that's something we want to avoid. If we have a adhesive layer that's super, super easy and quick to install, but leaves adhesive marks everywhere, that's not something we want, right? Vice versa, on the other end of things, you could have a super, super, super light and gentle adhesive, all right? For example, S-Tech, it's floaty. It floats like it's on air, all right? But when it's time to tack, it ends up lifting up. When when I stretch a piece of film from one point to another, I can't get that film to stick properly. Or after we think we might be done, a week later the car comes back and edges and fingers start to occur, right? So there's a balance that we look for as installers when it comes to our adhesive. All right, we currently use GeoShield, and honestly, it has been the best film I've ever used, period, especially when it comes to adhesive. It is a good in-between of grab and float for us to maneuver the film, but have it tack when we need it to, okay? And it has little to no texture from the adhesive, which is beautiful. Compared to other films on the market like Suntech and Expel, GeoShield looks phenomenal. Layer 2, the TPU core. All right, this is the layer that the adhesive and that ceramic top coat bond to. Okay, now there's different qualities of resin that can be used in your film. The actual TPU resin is different from manufacturer to manufacturer. Okay, so with that in mind, the higher the price point of the film is, generally results in a higher quality thermoplastic urethane. Okay, a higher quality adhesive, a higher quality ceramic top coat. Now that doesn't mean it's every time. Okay, some companies might be out there, like a certain someone, okay, I'm not going to say the name, that says they use high quality materials, but they're ordering it from China because they lost their manufacturer from another company. All right, things like this happen, guys. Don't think just because companies are big, companies are strong, they got big marketing budgets, things can't happen in the background. All right, contracts get bought out. Company loses its original manufacturer. Now they're scrambling to find film on the market and have to end up going with a lower quality film to provide to their installers and consumers. That's something to keep in mind. All right? But generally speaking, of course, the higher quality TPU is going to be far more expensive, resulting in a more expensive film as well. All right? So when you're looking at price points, you got to make sure you keep in mind, hey, how is it possible that this guy is $1,000 cheaper than this guy? Especially if this guy that's sitting at $2,000 and this other guy's sitting at $1,000 for a full front installation. Where is that difference being made up from? Is it more likely that this guy at $2,000 for a full front is overcharging all their consumers, but still yet has a great reputation, great reviews, and great testimonials? Or is it more likely that this guy at $1,000 for a full front is cutting corners somewhere with a lower quality film, not wrapping edges? Maybe they're just having a super, super slow year and they just need money. They're getting desperate, right? And trust me when I tell you this, people are getting desperate. We've had 3 shops, 3 of our competitors shut down within the past year. 3. I hate seeing it, but it happens. And they run themselves to the ground chasing after low price points that they don't realize they're losing money every time they book something like that. All right? Moving on to the ceramic top coat. Now, this is going to be the biggest differential factor for you as a consumer. Okay? The ceramic top coat is going to be the gloss, the shine, the ease of cleaning, and of course the self-healing ability. So this is typically the formulation and layer to layer that is different the most from manufacturer to manufacturer, okay? So, for example, films like Suntech, films like Expel, we find that their top coat has a lot of texture, a lot of orange peel. That's in addition to the texture from the adhesive that they use as well. We're not big fans of that, all right? We don't like that orange peel look. It looks dull. It doesn't look glossy. We're not big fans. We want a nice, smooth top coat that's easy to clean and that lasts, all right? And this is the key factor right here, the self-healing ability. A lot of people think that the self-healing ability is some magical stuff that will heal absolutely everything. No, it doesn't, but it depends on the formulation. If you have a film with a higher self-healing ability, okay, you're going to have a more delicate and sensitive top coat. because that top coat is much softer. In order to be self-healing, it has to be soft, it has to be pliable, it has to be malleable. So when that scratch, that marring occurs, it can conform back to its original self, right? With a little bit of heat, whether it be hot water, a heat gun, whatever it may be. But the problem is that only lasts so long. And because it's a very soft top coat, it starts to degrade much faster than a harder top coat. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it works. So me personally, after doing this for a very long time, we noticed the films that we've tested, that we maybe used in the past, that have that really high self-healing ability where you put a scratch in it and it instantly heals up when you put it in the sun or put a heat gun to it. Those were the top coats that failed prematurely more often. The top coats that were harder, more resilient to scratching and defects, but didn't have as of a dramatic of a self-healing ability, but still have it. Don't get me wrong, they still have it, but not as dramatic as those other top coats, were the ones that lasted the longest and stayed looking good through the test of time. I know it sounds counterintuitive. You think more self-healing is going to mean your film is going to stay newer longer, but the problem is the really, really high self-healing top coats are the ones that fade, oxidize, and fail faster than the ones that have more minimal self-healing abilities. Not saying that they don't have it, they still have it, but it's not as drastic as those other softer top coats. So keep that in mind. Like I said, at us at 48 Detailing, we want a balance of everything, okay? And that's why we spent probably at this point $100,000 on just testing film throughout the year, okay? Just testing it. So that is what we look for when it comes to these layers, guys. So moving on from there, the pros and cons of paint protection film, all right? With everything that we do and any other shop does and any service, from paint protection film to ceramic coating and everything in between, there are pros and there are cons, all right? That's the honest truth. Excuse me. The first pro, of course, it provides a sacrificial layer of protection for high impact areas from chips, scratches, chemical stains like bird poops, bug guts, things of that nature, all right? It is a film that you put on, you protect, and then you remove, and then you can replace. That is the awesome thing about paint protection film, all right? It has its limitations. Just like a bulletproof vest, it's going to protect you from a 9mm, a 40 ACP, maybe, you know, a little bit more of a high caliber round. But if you get hit with a 50 BMG, hey, that thing can go through a tank, right? The technology can only do so much, guys. And if you're being negligent, like leaving bird poop and bug guts on your car for long periods of time in the sun, it will eat away through that paint protection film and damage it. The same way as it would on your paint, the same way as it would on a ceramic coating as well, right? So there's proper maintenance that is required, and we'll get into that in a second. The next pro, it allows you to customize your vehicle with different colors and textures. You're probably asking, hey, Zay, I thought paint protection film was clear, right? Well, you are right, but you're also wrong at the same time. There are different colors and textures available that you can use, and I'll show you a really, really good example, okay? We're going to pull up our Facebook real quick. I'll get our Facebook page pulled up. We'll get into the photos. That's my little baby Elva. We did a little announcement on Facebook. All right. Now, here's a great example. Right here, you're probably looking at it, like, hey, what the heck is that? That is our Damascus paint protection film. We would consider this a textured or fashion film. Because of the thickness of paint protection film, manufacturers are allowed to play around and make some really, really cool film options that are almost like three-dimensional textures to it. You could see on this Dodge Charger from some very good customers of ours. This car has probably won 7 or 8 awards at this point for the work that was done to it, how it looks, the customization. It's a really, really cool car. But that is the advantage of paint protection film. You have fashion films available and colored paint protection film available as well. I'll give you another example of this Damascus on this Corvette that we did. You can see it on top, that really, really cool texture. It accents areas really nicely and has this really awesome oil slick effect to it, right? So the cool thing is, unlike vinyl, colored paint protection film also has a 10-year warranty because it's TPU and not PVC like vinyl is made out of, right? You have a really nice warranty. So instead of having to replace vinyl every 2 to 3 years, like we had to do on our little vinyl sign outside, our A-frame, see what happens to vinyl? Gets all washed out, cracked, and peeled. You don't have to deal with that with colored and fashion paint protection film. Let me give you guys an example of a colored paint protection film option, right? Here is my personal 2006 BMW Z4, originally in a light Malibu blue, We did a Nebula blue, which is a color-changing paint protection film. Goes from a really dark blue to a really dark purple, of course, also accented with Damascus fashion film. It looks almost exactly like paint. If you didn't know any better, you would think it's paint. And of course, you still have that 10-year warranty. So the benefits of this color film is that you get to get a different color that looks pretty much exactly like paint with a 10-year warranty, and you can remove it and replace it whenever you want to. So you have the customization leeway and ability to do that. And of course, you have your satin or matte film, where you take gloss paint and turn it into a matte frosted finish, as you can see we're doing here on this Ford Raptor R that we worked on. So just a few examples of the customization when it comes to paint protection film. And of course, Pro 3, it's 8mm stick. Go back to the slide real quick. 8mm stick, providing a substantial layer that can last the test of time, unlike vinyl. Now the cons. It's paint protection film, not paint perfection film. There are limitations on what we can do, all right? It's not like vinyl. It can't flex as good or heat up to get into really, really tight crevices and areas like that. There are limitations because of the thickness of paint protection film. So you will have seam lines. You will have relief tension cuts in some areas, like complicated bumpers and things of that nature, all right? And of course, another con, the cost, it is a lot more expensive. Paint protection film is a lot more expensive than your traditional vinyl or other protections on the market, all right? Just to give you a rough estimate cost, a roll of paint protection film is anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500, while a roll of vinyl is anywhere between $300 to $400. It is almost double to triple the cost, and it can be as difficult to install as vinyl is. So you got to keep that in mind too. So I'll show you some examples of what I mean about limitations, right? So taking a look at this Toyota bumper, you cannot do this bumper in one piece. You're going to have multiple pieces that connect to each other. For example, there is a seam line over here all the way through to this valley over here. There's also a seam line right here with this valley. And then this piece right here, this main bumper piece, is separate from this piece over here. So you will have some slight seam lines that are hardly even visible to anybody that really looks at a car. You pretty much have to point them out to somebody for them to really notice these seam lines, these connection points from piece to piece, all right? But for people that are looking for perfection, PPF is not going to be for you. There are limitations, okay? Another thing you got to take in consideration is contamination. There is a grace area, a leeway when it comes to contamination on a car. I don't know if you've ever installed a screen protector on a phone, right? Well, sometimes you get a speck of contamination in your screen protector and you got to do it over again. Well, the difference is with PPF is we're applying it to a surface that is 100 times to 200 times bigger than a phone. And instead of costing $1 to $2 for a screen protector to replace, it costs hundreds of dollars to replace, okay? So it's okay to get 1 or 2 specks of contamination on a whole front-end installation. That is more than acceptable. We've seen a lot worse that's being pushed out by other shops in the area, okay? Of course, we try our best to get it as perfect as possible, but it is impossible to chase perfection every single time. There are limitations, okay? We do live on planet Earth. There is dirt, there is dust, and plus we're in Arizona, so it's a very dry climate. So expect to have contamination and be happy if you don't, all right? And I'm not talking about a lot of contaminant. I'm talking about a little bit, all right? I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 specs max, you know? That is a grace area with PPF, and the same goes with window tint as well. But those are pretty much the cons and also the pros of paint protection film. So here's a little video that we have on YouTube. If you want to watch it, you're more than welcome to, of one of my previous installers applying a hood installation on a Porsche Taycan, okay? So when it comes to hoods, we do a custom install so we can wrap edges and all that good stuff. But you can see the film is water applied. This is a great visual for you to understand how we do things, all right? It's water applied. We use a slip solution to help us maneuver the film, or what I like to call float the film. And then we use hot water to activate that heat-activated adhesive to start it to bond to the surface, all right? And as you can see, Mark, the technician's name at the time, is what we like to call glassing out the film, or removing all that excess water so the adhesive can start drying out and start to bond to the paint surface, all right? You can see the before and after right there. And then right here you see me, 25, 30 pounds lighter, because this was taken a few years ago, talking about the excess on the edges, what we do with it. So the excess on the edges, we go ahead and trim and then wrap underneath the hood so you don't see that seam line of the hood installation. We try to do this in all possible and reasonable areas of the vehicle so you have as much of a seamless finish on your vehicle as possible. So when you look at your car, you don't even notice that there's film on it. I can't tell you how many times we walk customers around their car and they can't even believe that there's film on their car, all right? So with that in mind, yes, film is virtually invisible to the naked eye unless you really know where to look and you're paying attention, okay? And you can see here, we trimmed off the excess and then we go ahead and wrap that film underneath the hood. You can see me about to roll that film under the hood, and that is how it looks afterwards. Here's another example over here, excuse me, over here, where we've already rolled it underneath the hood. Nice seamless finish. Same thing on this Corvette C8 that we worked on. Then in this portion of the video, you see that we have a pattern that we laser cut from a system and a software that we use. We have specific plotters that we like to call. It's basically a massive printer for paint protection film, all right? And what we use that for is more intricate areas like bumpers, maybe some fenders, things like that, that we can't really, we can, of course, custom bulk anything, but it takes a lot more time and a lot more material. So what we do here at 48 Detailing, again, remember what I mentioned, we have a balance. We customize, custom bulk install certain areas like side mirrors and hoods, and then we do custom patterns for bumpers and fenders where we take the pattern, extend edges where we need to so we can wrap them, and then apply the pattern from there like you see in this video. See Mark applying the pattern to the vehicle, getting it squeegeed out, lined up. You can see how we extended the edges of the pattern right over here. We customized that ourselves on the system, so we still have the bulk custom results without having to do a complete bulk installation on the fender. That saves us time, that saves us material, which saves you money at the end of the day. Great, great video example, and we have plenty more on YouTube for you guys to check out if you want to take a look at them. All right. Now moving on to ceramic window tint. I think we beat PPF like a dead horse, all right? So hopefully you guys learned a lot from that segment. Now it's for ceramic window tint, all right? So what is it? How does it work? So I split window tint into two categories, all right? You have your standard dyed window tint, and then you have your hybrid tints. Now, hybrid tints can be carbon dyed tints. It could be metallic dyed tints. The most popular and best performing is going to be a ceramic hybrid tint, okay? That's mainly what we focus on here. We do offer an entry-level dyed carbon tint as well, more of a budget-oriented option. But ceramic tint, especially here in Arizona with our climate, our heat, is a must. I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes for your experience inside a car, not only protecting your interior finishes, but also protecting you and just making it comfortable. It's really great stuff for it, okay? So, what is it? How does it work? So, a few layers on ceramic window tint as well. The first layer is a pressure-activated adhesive layer, kind of different from the adhesive from PPF that's heat-activated. Tint is pressure-activated. We do not use any hot water to activate that adhesive. Pressure-activated adhesive layer bonds the tint securely to the glass. Layer 2, the polyester base, very different from PPF, which is a TPU. This is a polyester base, provides the structure. This second layer is going to provide the structure where the adhesive layer bonds to it, and then the following layers bond to it as well. It provides the optical clarity and is also the layer that contains the dye, which results to the shade of window tint as well. All right, because tints have different shades. Layer 3 is the nano ceramic, and this is the money part. This is the money layer. This is the part that makes the biggest difference. The nano ceramic particle layer, which is made up of millions of microscopic SiO2 particles that is infused with the polyester layer. All right? This is the stuff that prevents the UV rays from coming in, that prevents the heat and IR rays from coming in, and gives you a better experience inside your vehicle during those hot summer seasons here in Arizona. And then you have layer 4, which is a protective ceramic top layer that resists scratches, fraying, peeling, things of that nature. This is the layer that really helps keep the tint looking new for the long haul. All right? And of course, all ceramic tint typically come with a lifetime warranty. At least ours do. Our single layer and dual layer tints are all lifetime warranties. So during the lifetime of the tint, the shade will not change, it will not get lighter over time, and it will resist scratching and fraying unless you key it or you take a knife to it or something like that, okay? Again, limitations, guys. We're talking about a 2 mil thick film, okay? It's not bulletproof, all right? So, with that in mind, we'll move on to the differences, okay? You have your dyed window tint example over here. You can see we only have 1, 2, 3 layers, and sometimes even some of these dyed cheap window tints don't even come with a third layer, all right? Your typical dyed window tint is only going to come with a 1 to maybe 3 year warranty. Reason being, the scratch resistant layer is not ceramic, all right? It's usually polymer based, okay? And it does not resist scratches as good as a ceramic based top coat. So what that means is every time you roll up and roll your windows down with a dyed standard cheap window tint, it will start scratching your surface of the window tint over time because the gasket in your glass is going to cause abrasions going up and down, right? And of course, without that nano ceramic layer and also that top coat layer, you're not going to get the same heat and UV rejection. Sometimes you don't get any heat rejection whatsoever. Typically, this tint is just made purely for budget aesthetics. You just want to change the shade of the glass in your car. You don't care about anything else. You don't care how long it lasts. This is what this tint's made for. And of course, that dye is going to start to fade over a period of time. Typically on a dyed tint, if you're going super dark, like a 5%, 15% limo tint, it's going to start turning to 30% to 50% after a few years, okay? And of course, with cheaper film, the adhesive is poop. It's crappy. It's horrible. It takes forever to remove. It comes off in pieces. It takes us sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours to remove old, dyed, worn down window tint from a car. So keep that in mind. Now here is your hybrid or your ceramic window tint. You have your adhesive layer. You have your dyed film layer. Then you have your laminate adhesive with your, in our case, nano ceramic layer bonding to that dyed polyester film, providing the protection you're looking for. And then you have a much higher quality, much more scratch resistant ceramic top coat layer on top of that. So you can see your standard dyed films are around 1 mil thick. Your ceramic films are around 1.5 to 2 mil thick. A single layer of ceramic is 2. A double layer ceramic is a single layer ceramic is 1.5, excuse me, 1.5, and then your double layer ceramic is around 2 mils, okay? So big difference in thickness, big difference in durability, and of course the most important part, the benefits. At the end of the day, why are you spending money to tint your car if you're not even going to get any heat rejection out of it, especially here in Arizona? I completely understand if you're in cooler states like Illinois, Washington, areas like that, you might not need that heat rejection. But here, when it's 120 degrees outside during summer, you can't even get in your car something. You can't even put your seatbelt on. You touch the metal of your seatbelt, you burn yourself, you know? So keep that in mind. So ceramic window tint, the pros, the cons. Pro 1, fully customizable. All right? What do I mean by this? The shade does not dictate the benefits of the ceramic tint. It doesn't matter if you get a 70% shade or a 5% shade, you're still going to get that 99% UV rejection and up to 90% heat rejection. So you can customize it however you want to. All right? Typically with your standard dyed or carbon tints, your shade will dictate how much UV and heat rejection you get out of it. So states that have really strict regulation, ceramic tint is great for you. States that don't allow you to go too dark when it comes to tint on your car, or maybe don't allow you to have a front windshield tint, ceramic tint is going to benefit you because you can go with a 70%, which is barely even noticeable. You know, you can't even notice it unless somebody tells you have tint on your car, right? But you're still going to get that same UV and heat rejection that you would with a 5% tint. And remember, guys, these percentages are VLT, which means visible light transmitted. The bigger the number, the more light the tint allows through. The smaller the number, the less amount of light the tint allows through. Okay, so 70 is a super light film. 5 is a very dark film. We consider that limo tint. Okay. Pro 2, again, 99% UV rejection up to 96% heat rejection or IR rejection. Now, there is a lot more percentages and terminologies that go into the actual heat rejection and the quality of film, but we keep it simple just to explain to customers and also yourselves if you don't know too much. Focus on the heat, IR rejection, and the UV rejection, okay? Unlike standard film, ceramic tint has a lifetime warranty, like I mentioned. The only cons with ceramic tint, again, is the cost, but that's purely perspective. Based off of you and your personal budget, it will be more expensive. Ceramic tint is typically about triple the cost of your standard dyed or carbon tint. And then, of course, lighter shades of ceramic tint have a slight bluish hue to the tint. It's really not that noticeable, but some people are OCD about it. I always like to mention it to customers. If you're getting a ceramic tint on your windshield at 70%, you will notice a very slight bluish hue, specifically with dual layer tint. It is more common in certain manufacturers' films than others. If you look at our GeoShield dual layer, it's really not that noticeable, but if you compare it to some other manufacturers, they're very noticeable. But that is just the nature of the beast of the nano ceramic matrix. It does have a slight bluish hue to it. Just on lighter shades. When you get into 35, 15, 5%, it is pure, dark, grayish color, how tint should be, okay? So let me give you guys an example of window tint installation. Another video from our YouTube channel. This is an in-depth dive. You see it's an hour long, 57 minutes of a full installation from start to finish on this Lexus that we worked on for a good buddy of mine, Nick. So we're doing a windshield installation. You can see the 48 detailing team over here is applying the flat film. Remember, film is flat, okay? And glass is curved, especially on a windshield. So what we need to do is we need to shrink the film and conform it to the glass that we're applying it to. All right? You can see here the guys are prepping up the glass with the tint, getting it ready. And you can see here, we use a heat gun to start heating and shrinking the film and conforming it to the curved glass. If you don't do this step, you're not going to be able to apply the film. It's going to finger up everywhere. It's going to lift up on you because the tension of the film is going to start lifting up that film. So that's why you got to heat it and conform it, as you see here. After that's done, we start to release the liner, apply it to the inside of the glass, as you can see here. Removing the liner, applying the film to the glass, adhesive towards the inside of the glass. Remember, window tint goes on the inside of the glass, not the outside. And then we start squeegeeing all that moisture out and officially applying the film to the glass. And after we wipe down the glass, you could see with a 70% tint, which this is what it is, 70%, you can't even notice a tint on the front windshield. It's really unnoticeable. Unless you had a 50-50 split side by side, that's the only time you would notice it. But the great thing is, even though this is a very, very light shade with ceramic tint, you still have that UV and heat protection as well. All right, so we went over PPF, we went over window tint. Let's go over ceramic coatings. Now this, special place in my heart because we manufacture coatings as well. I've spent a lot of time studying this. I spent a lot of time working on our lineup and a lot of money as well, okay? So it kills me when I see quote-unquote ceramic coatings on the market or guys installing coatings for $200 because an ounce of our 5 to 7 year coating costs well over $300, you know? So you got to kind of ask yourself, hey, where are the corners being cut, you know? So ceramic coatings, big term. You hear it all the time. What is it? How does it work, right? So a ceramic coating is a liquid silicon dioxide, or otherwise known as SiO2, glass, that is applied to a car's paint, glass, plastics, or chrome to enhance the shine, anti-static, and protection of the vehicle. All right? So coatings can be applied to multiple surfaces. For example, we have a coating specifically for paint, we have it for glass, we have it for plastics, we have it for chrome and metals as well. We do have coatings that can be used on multiple areas, meaning more so of a versatile coating, like our Shusha Rizza, which is our spray coating. But generally speaking, we have a coating for each surface. And of course, the main chemical product in a coating is going to be your silicon dioxide. That's what makes it up. That's the base. That's the good stuff. That's what we're looking for, okay? SiO2 is the main ingredient that forms the hard glass shell on the paint, providing the base layer of protection for your vehicle, all right? From there, you have TiO2, or titanium dioxide, that can be added for more anti-static properties and ease of maintenance, okay? So SiO2 naturally is tacky. It's not the easiest to clean. We add titanium dioxide and also polymer resins to help the coating stay flexible, provide anti-static properties, provide slickness to a coating. When you apply a coating and it's super slick, it's not the SiO2 or the ceramic that's causing the slickness, all right? It is actually the polymer resins and the TiO2 that's providing the anti-static, the slickness. So each formulation is going to be a little bit different from manufacturer to manufacturer and from product to product within their lineup as well. Each product we make is not only made for the durability and the protection, but also certain characteristics too. If you're looking for a super slick coating, I steer you more towards our 1 to 2 year coating. If you're looking for a super durable, resilient, chemical resilient, water spot resilient coating that can take a beating from the sun and have no effect to it, I steer you more towards our 5 to 7 year coating because it has a far greater amount of SiO2 ceramic in it. So those are kind of the differences between each coating, right? Typically, the higher the amount of ceramic in a coating, the longer and thicker that coating is going to be, followed by the titanium dioxide and also the mix of polymer resins that we're using as well. All right? Now, from the TiO2, from the SiO2 and the polymer resins, you have the transfer solvents. These are the solvents that help you move these layers, the SiO2, TiO2, and polymer resins, around the panel that you're working on. If you just had a pure SiO2 formulation, you won't be able to move the SiO2 properly. You need a carrying agent, okay? That's what the transfer solvents are, all right? Yeah, they help carry the good stuff, the actual protection, across the panel for you. Excuse me, and as you apply it, the heavier particles, the ceramic, the titanium, the polymer resins, are going to drag to the bottom. And as it drags to the bottom, the transfer solvents are going to start to evaporate, causing the SiO2, the TiO2, and the polymer resins, the molecules, to start bonding and creating the nano-ceramic matrix on top of the surface of the paint, glass, whatever you're applying it to. So it's a combination of these things that make up the coating and help it perform the way it should perform. You can't have one thing without the other. You need all of it. And it's a balance based off of what type of coating you're making and what you're trying to achieve with that coating at what type of price point as well. All right? So with this in mind, if it's not in a glass or a metal bottle, it's not a real ceramic coating. The reason why is the transfer solvents that are required. They're required. You cannot have other transfer solvents besides the ones that are used in actual ceramic coatings, okay? Trust me, we've tried, and the reason why I say this, we would love to have a coating in a plastic bottle. You know how much money that would save us as a manufacturer at the end of the day? It's impossible. There's no transfer solvent strong enough to hold the ceramic resin, the ceramic particles, properly without it curing, staying in the bottle, and deforming the bottle itself. Okay, so it has to be in a glass bottle or a metal bottle. All right, if it's not a ceramic coating. That's the honest truth. If you have a quote-unquote coating in a plastic bottle, it's not a ceramic coating. Because what that tells me is that either there's little to no ceramic SiO2 in that formulation because it does not have the transfer solvents required to actually carry the SiO2 throughout the application process. All right, that's a key telltale sign that you're not using an actual coating. Price point is also a key telltale sign as well. There is difference in SiO2 quality, the same way as there's difference in granite countertop, the same way as there's difference in quality of glass and material as well. There is a difference in the quality of resin used from coating to coating, all right? The higher price points generally mean a higher quality grade of silicon dioxide, TiO2, and resins as well. That's why we have such a high gloss with our coating applications, all right? In the future, actually, I'll show you guys a video of our coating cured in a cube format for you guys to understand the clarity. It almost looks like a crystal or a diamond after it's completely cured, okay? So, with that being said, we're applying actual glass to the car. If you leave a bottle open and you just let it sit there, it's going to harden, it's going to cure, it's going to turn into glass, okay? It's essentially what happens. But again, if it's not in a glass bottle or a metal bottle, it is not a real ceramic coating. Keep that in mind, guys. You do not want to get ripped off by a shop or ordering something online that doesn't really perform, okay? Also, stay away from the graphene coatings. There is no such thing as a graphene coating on the market right now, okay? There's no such thing as a real graphene matrix coating on the market. Essentially what these companies are doing that are marketing these types of products is they're taking a ceramic coating and just sprinkling a little bit of graphene into it. And I know this because, like I mentioned, I worked in the past with Jim from Dr. Beasley's, and Jim's an actual chemist, okay? I'm not an actual chemist. I just know my way around when it comes to these products. I know what to look for. I know what works, what performs, what doesn't, what I look for when it comes to our product line. And I work with a team of chemists to manufacture the product for me, okay? But Jim's an actual chemist. And he purchased these quote-unquote graphene coatings that are on the market, back-engineered it, and learned that there is almost no graphene whatsoever inside the coating. It's mostly ceramic and polymer-based sealants. Okay? Essentially what they're doing, they're taking a polymer sealant or a low-grade ceramic coating and just sprinkling a little bit of graphene in there to give it a bit of color when you shake it. That's essentially all it is. The graphene inside the formulation is little to none and does absolutely nothing to the actual performance of the coating. If the United States government, military, and NASA can't figure out how to make a proper graphene coating, trust me, the little quote-unquote chemical manufacturer that you see in your big box stores probably doesn't know how to do it as well. All right, so let's keep that in mind. Here's a little video, guys, of a coating application on a Tesla. And of course, I don't care about the quality of coating. Let's keep this simple. The most important I do care about the quality of coating. Let me rewind a little bit. The quality of coating is important, but what's just as important is the prep. If you do not prep your car properly, your coating will not bond properly, okay? You got to go through a full hand wash. You got to go through a clay bar treatment, okay? Here's us washing the vehicle, all right? The clay bar treatment to make sure there's no contamination getting in between the coating matrix and your paint. You got to do a proper prep, a proper polishing process, all right, to prime and get the paint ready for the coating application for it to bond properly. And then you get to the actual coating application, as you see here. Here we're installing our 3-year ceramic coating tla. We're applying tla right now onto this Tesla. It's our 3+ year coating. You see us drizzling it onto the actual applicator pad and applying it to the hood of the Tesla. After you apply the coating, you want to make sure you let it sit anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds before you start leveling and buffing it off. You have to do this because if you don't, the solids will not have proper amount of time to float to the bottom and properly start bonding to the paint. And as that happens, your transfer solution starts to evaporate, giving you almost a rainbow effect. When you see that rainbow effect, that's when you can start buffing off the coating from the surface. We do your level, we do your final buff, and then the coating typically has anywhere between a 24 to 48 hour initial cure time and can take up to a full week for its max final cure for maximum gloss protection, slickness, and beading ability, okay? That's a simple example of a coating application. All right, guys, so the last thing we're going to talk about is paint correction. I feel like this is very important, and I do have to make this a bit quick. I got another appointment I got to get to. But paint correction. Hey, we're talking about all these products. What do they go on? They go on paint, right? So if we don't understand what paint is, how it works, and how to restore it, what's the point? So paint correction. There's a lot of terminologies around. There's paint correction, paint restoration, there's buffing, there's polishing. The right technical term is paint correction, okay? So what is paint correction? Paint correction is the process of removing imperfections from cars, paint to restore a smooth, glossy finish, okay? Over time, what happens is your paint starts to take on wear and tear. It starts to get damaged, okay? You can get swirl marks from improper washing or bad wipe downs, scratches from impacts and abrasives, water spots from sprinkler systems or water with heavy mineral deposits, and also chemical etchings from bird poop, tree sap. A lot of people don't understand bird poop, tree sap, bug guts are highly acidic. If you ever watch that episode of Breaking Bad where he takes the body and throws it in a bathtub and throws hydrofluoric acid on him to melt away the body, guess what? Bird poop, bug guts, tree sap can be just as acidic as hydrofluoric acid, all right? Now you combine that with the heat of the sun baking on your car, it only enhances the damage that can be caused from these types of things getting on your vehicle, okay? And some of these damages can be permanent and irreversible. The only thing you could do is get a repaint. But most of the time we are able to remove them, restore them with paint correction, all right? So let's take a look in detail the layers of paint and how this works. So your paint's made up a few of layers. Hey, layers again, like an onion. Talking about like Shrek at this point, right? So you have your vehicle body panel right over here, the paint, the plastic, whatever's being painted. You have your primer, you have your base coat or color coat. That's the actual color coat of your vehicle, giving you the color of the car. And then you have your clear coat on top, all right? What happens is you can get surface contamination, dirt, grime, overspray that bakes into the clear coat of the vehicle. You can get etching, like I mentioned before. This is an example of bird poop etching. You see the paint's clear coat actually cracking and deforming. You can get buffer trails, which is improper polishing, microabrasion from an abrasive. You can get deeper scratches like getting keyed or sideswiped or pinstriping, as we like to call it when you get into off-roading and things of that nature. Light scuffs and scratches that happen, and also the most common, which is swirl marking, love marks, which is hundreds of thousands of little micro marring and scratching that occur on your paint and look like almost like a spider webbing effect across your vehicle. Most of this can be addressed. Some of it can't, guys, because what we do when we correct paint, we're essentially removing this top layer of clear coat. We remove clear coat when we correct paint, when we polish paint. That is the whole point. We are trying to get an unleveled form of clear coat back to a leveled form. Because what happens is when you look at a car with a lot of swirl marks and scratches and contamination, when the sun tries to bounce off of this top layer of clear coat, what happens to it? It gets distorted. Instead of going back directly to your eyes, it gets shot around everywhere because the waves of swirls and scratches and the contamination of the paint is distorting the sun. So when we correct the paint, we level it off, making it nice and flat and making that light shine directly back into your eyes, giving you the high gloss shine finish. Now, how does a ceramic coating come into play? Well, after you correct paint, you're still going to have a little bit of texture to the paint, which is completely normal. Well, a ceramic coating, after it's applied, it fills in that leftover texture after a correction, giving you even more gloss and shine, okay? So here's a great video of us working on our 1980 C3 Corvette that we got ready for show car season, which we are in right now, of me doing the first stage of a two-step correction. It's 2 stages to correction. We got a 1-step and a 2-step. A 1-step is one type of pad and one type of polish across the vehicle, typically a medium cut pad with a medium cut polish, trying to remove light to medium scratches and swirls, okay? A 2-step, which is what we're doing on the Corvette over here, is 2 types of pads and 2 types of polishes and compounds, right? Basically going around the vehicle twice. A heavy cut stage, followed by a lighter cut or finishing stage of the polishing process, or the correction process. Think of it like sanding wood or filing your nails. You start with a really coarse file, and then you work your way up to the finer file to give you a nice smooth finish on your nail. All right, that's exactly what we're doing with the Corvette right now. And we'll get into the before and afters real quick. So here are the befores. You can see all the swirls, the scratches, the micro abrasions from the sanding marks and things like that. And here is the after of just the first stage of correction. You can see all the swirls, scratches, micro abrasions have been removed with a heavy cut compounding stage. And then we finish it off with our light cut polish as well, all right? And that right there is really going to make that paint pop right before the coating application. Back to the before right now, you can see all that damage there. And then moving back to the after again. You can see that beautiful finish that we're left over with, and that's not even the final product. Let me show you guys the final product real quick. Start the video again, go back to final results. Here is the final product of the 2-stage correction. You can see the gloss, the shine that the paint has. It's crazy. And we haven't even coated yet. It's going to look even better with the coating application. But that's just a brief overview of paint correction. All right, what it is, what it does, what it can't do, and the limitations, because you have to remember, when we correct paint, we remove paint. And we only have so much paint to work with. That's why before we work on any vehicle, we measure the amount of paint we have, so we don't end up burning through this clear coat layer. If you burn through this clear coat layer, you're pretty much screwed at that point. You're gonna have to repaint your car, all right? That's why if a customer comes in, they got deep scratches and we have little to no paint to work with, I recommend not to correct the car. Give it a light polish, throw a wax or coating on it, call it a day, all right? The red flag for us is anywhere between 85 to 95 microns. When we're in that range, that's a thickness of paint that we're dealing with. We have to be very careful, all right? Your typical paint systems today are around 120, 140 microns on the high end, all right? Compare that to your custom paint job. You're dealing with not microns, but mils, 10, 12 mils of paint, all right? You have a lot more leeway with a full custom paint job for like a show car or award-winning car, you know? Factory paint is getting very thin nowadays, so you can only do so much to it. For example, if we're doing a full two-stage correction, we're removing around 6 to sometimes even 10 microns, depending on how much damage we got to remove. Of course, we can restore some of that with a ceramic coating, but nothing is as good as the natural clear coat that comes from the manufacturer when it comes to protecting against fading and oxidation. Ceramic coating is great, but it's got to bond to something proper, all right? And if you have damaged, bad clear coat underneath, it won't be able to bond properly, all right, guys? So with that in mind, I really hope you guys learned something new. In this segment, we'll go over question and answers. If you do have any questions, throw them in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to help out. And make sure to stay tuned for future videos and podcasts as well. If you're listening to this on Spotify, hopefully you got something out of it. I'm going to be posting this on YouTube as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to check out our Spotify so you don't miss out on our 48 Detailing podcast. Again, guys, if you learned something, hit the like button. If you have any questions, throw it in the comment section below. I got a haircut to get to. I'm looking pretty gnarly right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get cleaned up. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk soon.